Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. And I am Shanrae. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I do not own the rights to this song. I do not own the rights to this song. I love the song. It's my theme song, but I do not own the rights to this song. But welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae Price, and we're going to get into this on this evening. I'm going to let this play for a few minutes, for about a minute, and then we're going to delve right on in with tonight's topic, which is anger management. But welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I do not own the rights to this song. Michael Jackson's Heal the World. I do not own the rights to this. Welcome. All right, we're going to delve right in. All right, I'm going to stop this. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I am Shanrae. Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I'm going to go on and read my disclaimer, and then we're going to delve right into our topic this evening, which is anger management. You all, again, this is an open session, so you all are more than welcome to write questions or write scenarios, or if you want to come in live stream, if you want to come in, just let me know, and we'll go on and we'll get you in. Good evening, Superwoman. Good evening. Okay, I'm going to read my disclaimer. Please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that we're using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only, and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by counselors which is myself, and or counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. The final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with the client, which is you or the individual. So information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change. It changes frequently, and it is recommended that clients or yourself will consult other counselors, other specialists, and or other religious leaders that you trust to aid in your overall behavioral wellness. So again, good evening. Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae. I need to go over this, and I need to tell you all, yes, I am qualified. I am qualified to do counseling. My degrees are in psychology, and I'm a graduate of Ashford University. I have experience in counseling as well as life coaching, and I was led or inspired to do this Counsel of a Day for 4 weeks or 30 days. And this is what I'm doing. I was called to do this. I'm going to do this, and we're going to, our main goal is to help other people, help them overcome, help people understand certain things about themselves, and then we're going to keep it moving. But good evening, Sister Charlotte. Good evening. Please share as we're going along. I'm trying to, I'm multitasking, so you see me looking between my laptop and here, and I don't see where I can share on here. This is weird. Okay, Facebook changes so much. I'm trying to share myself. But if you can share, then share this. But we're going to move on again. Our topic this evening is anger management. Our goal is to help people overcome. Good evening, Sandra. Our goal is to help those people overcome if they are experiencing any forms of anger management, kind of help and give some helpful tactical strategies to help aid in managing maybe these different types of anger or different forms of anger. Maybe help you understand what you're experiencing, and then if need be, you can reach out to a specialist or a support group. So, okay, we're going to move this along. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm going between my laptop and this phone. So if you can share, please share. But I'm so glad to see you all. Let's open up with, we're going to open up with our scripture for this week, because this week's topic is anger management. And the scripture is Ephesians. Hi, Sandra. Ephesians 4:26. This is the New International Version. It says, "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry." And I think that this is a very, very, very wise passage. We know social wise that we see on the news how people lose control, they get angry, and they commit crimes and wind up losing a large portion of their lives behind bars or something due to just a quick angry reaction. And so, Superwoman. And so, and it was just a reaction, and they actually, harmed themselves or harmed someone else and wound up losing a portion of their freedom due to this. So, I want to start with, what is anger? And again, this is an open line. If you all want to ask questions, if you want to talk about any scenarios, if you feel to, if you want to come in on a live stream, you are more than welcome. But I want to give you a definition of anger. So anger is a very powerful emotion that can stem from feelings of frustration, of hurt, annoyance, or disappointment. It is a normal human emotion that can range from slight irritation to strong rage. So anger, it's normal to get angry, but managing it, recognizing the forms of anger that you're experiencing at the time. This is something that we have to learn throughout our lifetime. So, I want to talk about suppressed anger, and then I'm going to give 10 different forms of anger, and then 10 different solutions. So we're going to move really quickly. So what is, we already talked about what anger is, and we know that it's normal. Suppressed anger can be an underlying cause, like of anxiety or depression. Anger that is not appropriately expressed can disrupt relationships. Tyrone says that I think it's important to understand that anger is normal, but you should learn how to control it. Thank you. You're right, Tyrone. And yes, you are definitely on the right path. And this is what we're going to talk about this evening. Learning how to recognize the different forms of anger. But anger is normal. I mean, you're not human if something traumatic happens to you or stressful happens to you and you don't get angry, so you're right. Anger is normal, but there are different forms of anger that is not so normal, and we're going to hit on that tonight. So I'm going to keep going up. So chronic long-term anger has been linked to health issues such as high blood pressure, heart problems, headaches, skin disorders, and digestive problems. So in addition, like ulcers. So in addition, anger can be linked to problems such as crime, which we just talked about, emotional and physical abuse, and other violent behaviors as well. So I want to talk on this very, very, very briefly. There are 10 different forms of anger, and I'm going to read them really quickly, and then we're going to go over some of the definitions of it. So there is passive anger. There's aggressive anger. There's assertive anger. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get through my notes here. There's retaliatory anger. There's self-inflicted anger. There's constructive anger. There's habitual anger. There's judgmental anger, and then there's paranoid anger. There's shame-based anger, which is the very last one. And as we're going, if you recognize specifics with the anger that you're dealing with, raise your hand. Give me a hand. Give me a wave on here, on here, and we can stop and we can address that if you want to. So anger is often described as a temporary response. I'm going to read this again. To events that hurt us physically, psychologically, or emotionally. Though an integral part of life, anger can be a tricky feeling that is sometimes difficult to handle. It can hurt people that we love the most, Depending upon its nature, anger can be classified into, and I just gave you the following classifications, and we get ready to go into this. We know that bullying. I was bullied as a child. I've never ever, like, when I've had people say to me, "Oh, girl, remember when we was younger and we was skinny and we had flat stomachs?" And I be sitting there like this. I was never skinny, so I don't know what you're talking about. I was always like Hashim. Hashim is on here. Hashim, we went to school together growing up. We went to high school. I was never skinny. I've always been big bone. So I can't relate to that. But what I can relate to is being bullied, because I was oversized and I was a life-size person my entire life. And being bullied, what really hurt me was being bullied by adults. Okay, children, they can hurt you now. You know, your peers, your age, they can hurt you. But my sisters and I were bullied by adults growing up. We would be walking to school and it would be adults out there pointing at us, talking about, "Oh, look at them fat so-and-sos." This is what we went through growing up. In church, it would be adults talking about us because we were fat, we were oversized. And that caused some inner anger within all of us. My younger sister, the one who's not here, she passed 4 years ago. Her anger, she displayed her anger. If somebody said something to her, she was go right back at them. I was more of that passive type. And then my sister Kelly, well, she was verbal. So if somebody said something to her, she would go right back at them. But I was more quiet. But it still built anger inside of me to where at a certain point, it would be explosive. And then I'd be ready to crack some heads, which that is not good. That was not good. So I want to talk about passive anger. And if you have anything that you want to chime in on, we will stop and we will get down to this. But I want to speak about passive anger right now. And I'm going to watch this clock. Passive anger. This type of anger, people express their emotion in an indirect way. There is no direct communication. Instead, it is conveyed sarcastically. Passive anger is also described as a non-verbal form of aggression, a non-verbal form of aggression. And since the person may communicate his feelings or her feelings through negative responses, such as through angry gestures, like that, this type of anger is often accompanied by negative body language, such as ignoring people, avoiding eye contact, or looking away from the person. Poor posture, procrastination, and sulking. So in passive anger, people tend to bottle up their negative feelings rather than venting it out. And people tend to, and then as a result, there is a drastic change in their behavior, such as isolating oneself from their friends, which often makes people very uncomfortable around them. And people with this type of anger appear calm outwardly, but they experience inner turmoil and anxiety. Kind of what I was just talking about with me. They won't talk to to other people, to the people that made them angry, and instead they vent out their frustration through indirect channels, again, such as by gossiping or spreading terrible, malicious rumors against them. So Tina said, "Is that passive aggressive behavior?" Yes, it is. This is passive. Yes, it's a form of passive aggressive behavior or passive aggressive anger. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. And that was what I was just talking about, kind of how I bottled my anger growing up as, it was bad enough that my peers, that they talked about us, my sisters and I, because we were heavy set. But when the adults, especially in church, y'all, because we're Christians, so it really, really did hurt when we were growing up, and it was the adults sitting there gossiping about us, spreading rumors about us, talking about us directly in our face. Look at them fat girls, and oh my God, they need to go on a diet. We were little, and so the way I handled it is that I kept it in. Versus my sister, like my younger sister would fight. Like she would physically fight, like knuckle up, bring it around, and knuckle up. Kelly was more verbal, and I was just like quiet. But when you push my buttons, I would explode. I would explode. That was not good, because that type of anger lands a lot of people in jail. So aggressive anger. Let's move on to this. Like what I was talking about with my younger sister. Aggressive anger is expressed directly and is often marked by an outburst of negative emotions. And this is an extreme form of anger that can spell trouble to whomsoever the anger is directed to. This style of anger in individuals makes them shout at, and even hit the targeted recipient. It is an aggressive way of expressing your negative feelings, wherein the recipient is threatened verbally, and they're verbally abused and often manhandled. So road rage incidents are one of the most common examples of the aggressive type of anger. Gestures such as sharp jabbing of the index finger like this during confrontation are also interpreted as an aggressive form of anger. So that was kind of what I was talking about with my youngest sister. She was very aggressive, and whoever was in her way, okay, you was gonna get it. And y'all chime on in, because y'all know I don't like to talk by myself. But I remember about a year or so ago, I was shopping at Walmart, and it was kind of during the holiday season. And so the lines, whenever that happens, the lines were pretty long. And there was a man that was in front of me. And he was a man of color, middle-aged man. He had salt and pepper hair, tall, very tall man. And to look at him, even his own demeanor came across as extremely threatening. Like, he wore that look on his face, like, don't mess with me. And so the cashier she was so sweet. And it was so much going on. She was moving as quickly as she can. She had to get those price checks going, because a lot of people were saying that, the items was one price, and it was, and, they just didn't mark them down. So she was doing the best that she could up under the circumstances. And the man, it was his turn. He didn't have a lot of items, and he put it up there, and she was greeting him. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday, sir. And he had that stone face, just stone face. And so she asked the question, and it was so much noise going around, she didn't hear him. And she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir." She said, I didn't hear your response. She said, "Can you please say it again?" And the man exploded. I mean, it was, I don't get shook up that quick. Coming from New York, I'm used to a lot of yelling and screaming and all this stuff. But the man screamed so loud, I was right behind him. He just exploded on her. And the way she handled it, she was so professional. I mean, I jumped back like, okay, I don't know what he's going to do. But that aggressive, explosive type of anger. And they had to actually call security over to him and make sure he walked out of the store. That's how startling he was and how aggressive he was. I don't know what was going on in that man's life, but I tell you what, whoever got in that man's way, they were targeted. They were targeted with this anger. So that was a form of aggressive anger. Assertive anger is an assertive style of anger is often considered as a healthy way to express anger. I'm going to say it again. There's a difference between aggressive anger and assertive anger. So assertive anger, again, is considered as a healthy way to express your anger. Assertive anger directed to an individual is conveyed in the most responsible manner through assertive communication. In this type of anger, aggression or uncontrolled burst of emotions do not come into the picture. As such, there is no damage to the relationship because the person communicates properly about the reason behind his anger, and moreover is ready to take full responsibility if they have made someone angry. And so in this type of anger, the individual does not hold any grudges, or they don't show any disrespect towards the recipient of their anger. People with an assertive style of anger expression do not overact or they don't behave rudely in an anger-inducing situation. And also, unlike in other styles of anger, there is no scope for misunderstandings due to proper communication. So again, there is a difference between aggressive anger and assertive anger. Aggressive anger is very, very, very destructive type of anger. Assertive anger is the more mature, most manageable way to handle any type of uncomfortable situation, whether you're the one who angered someone or someone angered you. Again, aggressive anger is the destruction form. Assertive anger is the more mature, the way that you're supposed to handle your anger. And I'm going to do five forms of anger this evening, and I'm going to do 5 tactics to it. So I'm on number 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm sorry, because our time, I want to stick to our time this evening for 5. So this is number 5 here. Okay, let's move to retaliatory anger. Does anybody have anything to say? I'm looking. Anybody have anything to add to this? Okay, well, this is an open line. Retaliatory anger. Retaliatory anger, as the name suggests, this type of anger arises due to perceived wrongdoings of the recipient of anger. And this is a form of aggressive anger that fuels the fire of revenge against the perceived offender. Harassment in any form from the offender or not receiving payment from an organization despite working efficiently are some common causes of retaliatory anger. Wow. I think that we've all have experienced this form of anger. I know I have. I worked with someone, y'all know I'm a singer as well. So there's different forms of career aspects with me. But I did a gig some years ago. That's what they call a gig. I was studio work some years ago. And it was by someone that I actually know. I did them a favor and said, sure. Sandra said, yes. Yeah, you understand about the retaliating type of anger. So I did, and I actually kind of went against my own rule. I went ahead and worked with somebody that I know personally. And due to whatever the situation happened or whatever, they chose not to pay me. They paid everybody else, but they chose not to pay me. What happened, I'm going to make it very brief, is that business-wise, something was not right, and I actually spoke up. I spoke up about it. And so what the person did was they paid everyone else that did less work than me, and they did not pay me at all, because I actually spoke up about concerning the wrongdoing during this studio session. And I actually had to fight to get my pay. But they did this, they took out this retaliatory form of anger towards me. And I believe that everyone has experienced that type of anger at some point in their lives, which is not a healthy form of anger. It was not addressed the right way. And I had to go through different channels, like go above their head to their superiors in order to get what I worked for. And so that really taught me a lesson. It taught me a lot of lessons, and it taught me about retaliatory type of anger. Does anybody have anything to say before I move on to I'm going to do 5 and 5 of the 5th form of anger this evening? Okay, I'm going to move on. So the 5th one for this evening is called self-inflicted anger. And this form of anger may be described as a self-injury behavior because the individual is angry with themselves. My God. This self-directed anger often results in hurting themselves. And in this type of anger, the individual tries to punish themselves by inflicting wounds to one's own body or by other means such as starvation. Wow. With the sole intention of self-harm. Having prolonged and excessive guilt feelings is the main reason behind self-inflicted anger. And failing to crack an interview or being unable to complete a given assignment, resulting in missed opportunities, often leads to feelings of self-inflicted anger. Again, I believe that this is a very common form of anger here. I'm not talking about like physically wounding yourself, but how many of us have literally beat ourselves up because we felt as if we didn't do something better? Shy girl, I'm waving with you, hon. That's right. Shy, I'm with you. And it causes a lot of harm, because it's like a form of tormenting yourself. You may not cut yourself, or you may not stab yourself, or you may not hit. You know how you see some people on TV and they do something, and next thing you know, they're going stupid, you know, say about themselves. That's self-inflicted type. That self-inflicted type of anger, and that's not good. I say this all the time. A part of growth is failing. A lot of times, Princess Good Alexander says, I have experienced that. You've experienced that form of anger. Okay. Princess, self-condemning. You're right, Shaye. Princess, have you found a way to stop beating yourself up, or stop condemning yourself when you're angry? Have you found a way to alter the way you used to do that? Have you found a way to alter that, with beating yourself up when it comes to certain things with anger? Like, I didn't do this right. Do you handle things better now? And I'm going to keep going while I wait on Princess's response. But Princess, wow. And again, that is normal, Princess. It's so normal what we go through with that self-inflicting type of anger, how we beat ourselves up. It's not good. Again, failure is a part of growth. Nobody comes out. Nobody is born knowing everything. A lot of times we learn. Princess says, yes, I have. I learned to love myself, and it's okay to fail. Thank you. Hallelujah. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear this as an overcomer. You're right. It is okay to fail. We have to learn. A lot of times we do have to learn from experience. Or maybe poor choices that way. But I'm so glad that you have learned these tactics. My time is moving quick, so I'm going to move on to anger management tips. And there are 10 tips to tame your temper. I'm going to read a little bit. Keeping your temper in check can be challenging. So by using these simple anger management tips, from taking a time out to using I statements to stay in control. There's a question that was posed here. Do you fume when someone cuts you off in traffic? Do you get upset when somebody cuts you off in traffic? Does your blood pressure rocket when your child refuses to cooperate? Anger is normal and even healthy emotion. But it is important to deal with it in a positive way, like Princess. Yes. Anger is okay. So uncontrolled anger can take a toll on both your health and your relationships. And so let's talk about these 10 different tactics. I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to go over 5 of them very quickly. So number 1 is to think before you speak. Number 2 is, once you're calm, express your anger. Number 3 is get some exercise. Number 4 is take a time out. Number 5 is identify possible solutions. Number 6 is to stick with the I statements. Number 7 is don't hold a grudge. Number 8 is use humor to release your tension. Number 9 is practice your relaxation skills. And number 10 is know when to seek help. I'm going to go over the first 5, and then we're going to pick this up on Thursday. So number 1, think before you speak. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to say something that you would later regret. So take a few moments to collect your thoughts before saying anything and allow others involved in this situation to do the same thing. I have had to really practice this myself with thinking before I speak. And I think a lot of us have been there as well. Because once something comes out, we verbalize it, it's really hard to take it back. Because out of the us Christians know the Bible talks about out of the heart flows out of the mouth, and out of the heart flows the issues, not the issues of life, but what's in you will come out of you. What's in you is going to come out of you. Number 2 is once you're calm, express your anger. So as soon as you're thinking clearly, express your frustration in an assertive, remember assertive, not aggressive, assertive but non-confrontational way. State your concerns and your needs clearly and directly without hurting others or trying to control them. Number 3 is get some exercise. So physical activity can help reduce stress that can cause you to become angry. If you feel your anger escalating, go for a brisk walk or run, or spend some time doing other enjoyable physical activities. And Desiree and Dee Scott says, a fool is quick to speak and slow to listen. And that is in the Bible, Proverbs. You're right. Princess says that exercise is a great stress reliever. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I see a lot of us have actually practiced this, and that's how we know that this really does help. You're right. Number 4, and I'm gonna go back with what Dee said. Desiree said, learning how to think before you speak. It takes practice, guys. Because most of us are impulsive. So if we feel like somebody is trying to clown us or trying to chump us, the first thing we want to do is to jump to our defense and be like, oh no, you're not going to talk to me you're not going to treat me that kind of a way. LeVon said it is hard. You're right. All of these strategies, it sounds easy, but it is hard to really, really incorporate this in your life and to practice this, especially during a trying time. It is hard. And it does take time to really, really learn how to master these techniques. But it is something that is achievable, guys. It is achievable. Number 4 says, take a time out. And to me, this is so funny because how many of us have put our children in time out? You're right, Dee. It can't be done. How many of us have put our own children in a timeout? Well, this here, taking a timeout for us, that same strategy works for us as adults. Timeouts aren't just for children. Give yourself short breaks during times of the day that tend to be very, very stressful. Deep breathing does help. You're right. You are absolutely right. A few moments of quiet time, and I would say add that deep breathing in there, might help you feel better prepared to handle what's ahead without getting irritated or angry. Shaye says, yes, it took me a while to learn to think before I speak off impulsively, and it is definitely achievable. I'm telling you, Shaye, you are not alone. We all are growing. This is a daily thing with us, learning how to overcome any type of life stress, traumatic or stressful events in our life. But it is achievable. And I see so many different witnesses here who they can tell you, I used to be this way, but I learned how to channel my anger better this way. Number 5, it says identify possible solutions. So instead of focusing on what made you mad, work on resolving the issue at hand. And like, does your child's messy room drive you crazy? Then close the door. This says, is your partner late for dinner every night? Schedule meals later in the evening. This is just some solutions. Or agree to eat on your own a few times a week. Remind yourself that anger won't fix anything and might only make it worse. Dee Dee said, yes, ma'am. It's a daily walk. Yes, it is. Now, with these solutions, depending on the person, because I am an assertive type person, not aggressive, but I am assertive. I am assertive. And so, you know, a lot of times I feel like, well, you know, right is right and wrong is wrong, you know, but learning these, I have learned personally that being angry and fussing and all this, it's not a healthy tool. And guess what? It don't work. It really don't work. But learning these other strategies, that assertive type of anger, directly dealing with this in a tactical mannerism, not in manipulating, but a tactical mannerism, dealing with whatever issue is going on at the time, dealing with it, targeting that, not talking about what happened last year or 5 or 10 years ago. And I'm talking to myself too, because that was something that I would do. I would constantly go back, and you know, that's not healthy. Deal with what's going on right then. Let it go. And once it's let it go and keep going, because again, these different toxic forms of anger, it will hurt your body physically. Ulcers, your nerves are bad, all kinds of high blood pressure, which leads to heart attacks and strokes. Listen, it's not, it really, you know how that saying says, it ain't that serious? It really isn't. It's not that serious, guys. So, learning how to zone in on our forms of anger, our different forms of anger, and then learning the different learning the different forms, that tactics of how to you know, work with it, your different forms of anger. You will be so awesome. And then I also think about our children. We're also teaching our children, they're watching us. So if they see that we grow, even with dealing with certain things with anger and how we deal with it in a more assertive type of way, we're teaching them how to deal with life situations without them exploding and getting in trouble, because it really only takes a minute to alter your life, to alter your relationships in a negative way. And so we're going to continue to work on this. Listen, if there's anybody, please take this number down. Superwoman, please take this number down. There is a group out there called Arise Anger Management Programs. And if you know someone, or if you are experiencing kind of like an out of control type of anger, this is a 1-800 number. Please take this down. 1-888-680-6100. Again, the number is 1-888-680-6100. I'm going to say it again. The number is 1-888-680-6100. And this it's called Arise Anger Management Programs. So they have them all over. And if you know someone that can benefit from this group here, this support group, or maybe even if you decide to call doing something to kind of help you collect yourself. Thank you, Dee Dee. Arise Anger Management, 1-888-680-6100. And I'm telling you, there is help, there is hope. And there is life outside of anger. So my time is up. Thank you so much, Sheila. Thank you. And thank you, Superwoman. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on this on Thursday. On this coming Thursday. My time is up. Let me go on and put my sound on. And I want y'all to enjoy your evening. Thank you again. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue. I'm sorry. And we're going to end it. I do not own the rights to this song. This is my theme song. I do not own the rights to Michael Jackson's Heal the World. But this is what we're called to do. As God heals us, we're to heal the world. Thank you. Thank you for being with Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. Until Thursday coming, we're going to finish on this topic, anger management. God bless you all. As God heals us, we're going to help heal the world. I don't own the rights to this song, Heal the World. Michael Jackson, I do not own the rights to this song. God bless you. Good night, guys. Good night.